The Mightiest Governor is one of the most important events in Rise of Kingdoms that gives you a ton of golden sculptures, but if you're a free-to-play or a low spender, it can be very difficult to properly compete in this event. So today, I'll be giving you every single trick I know to get as many points as possible during the Mightiest Governor event so that you can increase your chance of winning over other players, because even if I give you an extra 300,000-400,000 points for free, those could be the difference between getting 180 gold heads and only getting 90. So if you want to get the chance at winning 180 gold heads in the Mightiest Governor event, whether you're a whale, a free-to-play, low spender, doesn't matter, you want to stick around till the end of the video. Now let's start off today's video by discussing how the Mightiest Governor actually works, and the way it works is it is an event that will come around once every 2 weeks, so it's basically a fortnightly event, and it lasts a total of 6 days. There will be 6 stages, each stage doing a different thing. Stage 1, troop training. Stage 2 is killing barbarians. Stage 3 is gathering resources. Stage 4 is gaining power. Stage 5 is fighting other players and killing troops. And Stage 6 is a mixture of every single stage, but you get less points. So each stage will last 24 hours and it will cycle between those. The other way the Mightiest Governor works is that it will cycle between troop types as well. So currently we're in the Archer Mightiest Governor. That means the next one is Leadership. The exact cycle goes Cavalry, Infantry, Archers, Leadership, Cavalry, Infantry, Archers, Leadership, and it just keeps repeating like that. So it starts at Cavalry, ends at Leadership, and it keeps on repeating. So you can easily predict which commanders are coming when, and you can even predict the exact weeks they're going to arrive, because once every, basically, I think it's 8 weeks, you will see another troop type roll around. So once we finish with Archers, 6 weeks from now, you'll be able to get another Archer Mightiest Governor because all of the other ones will finish. So you can easily predict when the Mightiest Governors are coming around. And then one thing also to note is that whenever a new commander is released for any troop type, doesn't matter, they will appear in the Mightiest Governor. Whether it's an infantry, archer commander, even if it's a cav Mightiest Governor, those commanders will show up as like a limited time. They'll be there for 3 Mightiest Governors and then they will disappear and go back to their normal troop types. Once a troop type comes around, so for example, it is the Archer troop type right now, you can select any commander up to the Season 2 version from the Mightiest Governor. So we can see here Tamaris, who is a Season 2 Archer commander. I can select her, I can select Artemisia, Nebu, Amanatori, all these much older commanders compared to Ditto. I can select them if I wanted them from the Mightiest Governor, and the same for every single troop type. If you're before Season 3 though, this will not be how your Mightiest Governor will look. It will probably be just one commander. For example, I know my Siege restart, it's like currently Ragnar or something, which is obviously not amazing, but there is still going to be people who will compete for that. So pre-season 3, you definitely have less options and choices to choose from. I know they switched it up now. I think there are some points where you can choose specific commanders from the Mightiest Governor, but for the most part, it's going to be just one commander at a time, and that's what you're really going to expect pre-season 3. Once you reach season 3, though, you will get put into that cycle of cavalry, infantry, archers, leadership, and that will just keep repeating. So now that we know how the Mightiest Governor rolls around, how it works, all that, how can we maximize the amount of points that we gain? And I'll go over each stage individually. The first stage, we have troop training, and really simply, you get points from training troops. And there's only a few ways to really maximize this. And the first one is training tier 5 units. Training tier 5 units will give you the maximum number of points. I'm not going to claim mine, I'm trying to keep my power low, but if you were training tier 5 units, you can get a maximum number of points. They're going to give you more points on speed ups and resources compared to tier 4 units. You can also upgrade tier 4 to tier 5. That's actually not too bad. You'll get 60 points for doing that per troop. So you can see here, whenever you upgrade a troop, you'll get the point difference. So if I do tier 3 to tier 4, I'm going to get 20 points. Tier 4 to tier 5 is 60 points. But mainly, you want to train tier 5 units. And obviously, if you're training, just do the normal things that give you value. Request the Duke title, grab a rune, join an alliance with good things such as the shrines and the altars that give you extra training speed. All that really normal stuff that you will do when you train troops will give you a nice speed up advantage, so you can possibly train maybe an extra 10,000-20,000 troops. Also, this is going to be a really good stage for whales and high spenders to gain points. So if you're in a big spending kingdom that's got a free Mightiest Governor, I wouldn't be too surprised if you see a bunch of whales drop like 100 million points on this stage. It's really easy to do. They only need to train 1 million tier 5 units, which I know sounds like a lot, but still really easy to do. So you can definitely expect players to drop a lot of points on this stage, especially if they are much larger players, or if there is an event going on that's going to benefit them training troops as well. Other things you can do for this event though, if you know you're going for a specific Mightiest Governor and you time it well, which you can often do really easily by just predicting when they're going to land, literally just go 2 weeks at a time and see when the Mightiest Governor is going to land. You can train 200,000 troops by using 50k extenders in your inventory. So you can get these from bundles. Some game modes give them, some events will give you them. They're pretty easy to get. I've gotten quite a few 50,000 reserves in my time. If you don't have those, you can even use 20,000 reserves. And you can train up to 200,000 or 210,000 tier 5 units, which you can claim for free because you let them run for over, let's say, 10 weeks, and then they're done training for free. All you have to pay was the resources, and you're at like a 20 million point advantage compared to every other player if you let these troops pre-train. Obviously, for this though, a lot has to go right. The Mightiest Governor has to be a free Mightiest Governor because some kingdoms set who wins them. The Mightiest Governor probably can't be in KVK, that's much harder to win. So there's a lot of stuff that has to happen for this to really be viable, but if you're able to predict when the Mightiest Governor is going to come around and you're able to train 200,000 troops before it even starts, you're already at a massive advantage for the training stage. Other than that though, there really isn't too much to the training stage, it's literally just training troops. So for stage 1, just train as many troops as you can. If you can't train, just don't worry, there's other stages in the Mightiest Governor for you to gain even more points. Now, stage 2 is really similar to stage 1, you can't really do much in stage 2, you're really just stuck with killing barbarians because it is just the fighting barbarian stage. If you were to swarm down a level 40 plus barbarian with 5 marches, you get 50,000 points. So after 20 barbarians, you will get 1 million points. And obviously, that's going to be quite expensive with 5 marches. So there's not really any ways to optimize this. You can't reduce action point costs. That doesn't really exist. The only real ways to optimize this are through AoE farming. So if you got a march like a Richard YSG and you took out a bunch of barbarians like this, then you might get, let's say, a 50,000 points for only the cost of 1 action point, which is obviously much better value than swarming them with 5 marches. But the thing is, it is much slower to AoE farm than it is to just swarm the barbarians. So if you're looking to AoE farm for a Mightiest Governor, you have to have all day and have low action points. But if you have a lot of action points to spare like I do, and you're looking to win a Mightiest Governor, then stage 2 is probably the best time to get a major push going if you have the time to spare, because even swarming down barbarians with 5 marches, it's going to be quite expensive. So only push in stage 2 if you have the time to spare. If not, just try and do as many barbarians as you can throughout the day, and don't really worry about pushing too much on this stage, because once again, there are still later opportunities to get advantages over other players, especially in the stages 5 and 6. So overall with stage 2, it's pretty generic and there's not really that much you can do. Now the same can't be said for stage 3 of the Mightiest Governor, the gathering stage, and the reason is because there's a ton of ways to gain extra points compared to other players due to the way stage 3 actually works, because when you gather resources, you would expect that stage 3 would count the gathering as like just having the resources on the commander, you gain points. But no, the way it works is once your commanders enter your city, it then calculates the number of points you get. So for example, if I put a troop in a resource node and I gathered 600 billion resources, it wouldn't count for a single point until that troop returned to my city, and you can kind of exploit this in a way, because what you can do is before stage 3 actually begins, you can send your troops out and just fill a full march with things like gold, and I think gold is the most value per point. So if I were to send out my Joan of Arc, I could just fill a whole entire inventory with a ton of gold, with as many golds as I can. So like 7 million gold is going to be a nice number of points. And I can do the same thing, especially really quickly, with a mother load. And then what I do after that is I don't actually put the troop in my city. I leave them next to my city. And once stage 3 begins, I can call those troops into my city to give myself extra points, which other players literally wouldn't have. Because I've got basically a 10 hour advantage, however long it is, over these other players, by basically doing stage 3 before it even started. So if you do that little trick by leaving the troops in front of your city and then calling them in, you might get an extra million points, because stage 3 doesn't give too many points, but in total I think you can get like 2 million points on stage 3 if you gather like crazy and you do that trick. So it's a pretty nice trick to get extra points, which other players literally can't get if they don't start doing the same trick as you. So you'll be at least 1 million points guaranteed above most players who don't know about that trick. So if you can do that, leave your full marches of gathering in front of your city and then call them in, you've got a pretty much guaranteed advantage which whales and low spenders literally no one can catch up with, because you've done something before the stage even started and you just thought way ahead. So doing that is a great way to gain points. Other than that though, if you want to just continue to gather like crazy, that's the best time to do it. Get the queen title, pop basically as many boosts as you can, for example the 24-hour enhanced gathering. Try and gather on alliance territory only, it's going to be the fastest way to get as many resources as possible. And then you should be able to get maybe another 1.5 million points if you do perfect gathering with tons of time and you're making sure your troops are constantly out of your city. Otherwise, you're not going to gain too many points in this stage. So try and maximize the amount you're gathering on the day and try and gather before the event and then do that little trick I just told you about. Now, after stage 3 comes stage 4, and this is probably the lowest value stage in the Mightiest Governor. The way stage 4 works is it's just upgrading stuff. It's the power up stage, and I never really do much for this stage. The only time you get value on stage 4 is through building and research, because the way stage 4 works is whenever you gain any amount of power from building, research, or training, you gain 2 points, just 2 points for each point of power you gain. So if you do something like research or building, you've got an advantage over all the whales and players with a max city, because you're able to use speed ups which they don't get value from. So for example, a whale might have like 1,billion hours worth of building speed ups, but they can't use those because they've got a fully max city, and you might have 200 hours worth of building speed ups. So you've got a 200-hour speed up advantage over that player because you were able to do something like a building upgrade which gave you some points. Just keep in mind though, these upgrades aren't going to give you many points. Like for example, unlocking T5, you're going to get like 1,000,000 points total, which is really not that much. So I wouldn't really rely on this stage to win you the Mightiest Governor, but if you have things like building and research that need to be done, and you want to win a Mightiest Governor, stage 4 is a good time because you're able to use speed ups which other players can't really use to unlock things that you would be doing anyways for a free amount of points in the Mightiest Governor. But if you're doing troop training, then stage 4 is not a good time to do it because I'm 99% sure stage 6 literally gives you more points than stage 4. So stage 4 is really bad value for whales and high spenders who have a max city, because training troops is bad value in this stage, just only good for upgrading buildings and doing research, because that's the only way to gain points from doing building and research in the Mightiest Governor. So if you're doing that, do it in stage 4 to give yourself a nice boost. Otherwise, I don't really recommend pushing in this stage since it's going to be a waste of resources and speed ups. After stage 4 comes stage 5, and this is the stage where most players will gain the largest number of points. This is the kill event, the stage where people will just fight 24/7 to gain as many points as possible. I think I've personally done like 80 million points on that stage alone by staying up for 24 hours and just fighting and fighting and fighting. So the only way you can really do good on this stage is just fight as much as possible. There's not really as many tricks for the other stages with stage 5. It's just fight as many players as you can, get as many good trades as possible, just basically kill farm, whether it be city popping, whether it be doing rallies that you just get them to swarm down and take a ton of kills with. All that is going to be the best way to get as many points as possible. Otherwise, you're not in a very good situation, because if you don't push in stage 5 especially, you're going to be at a massive point disadvantage, especially if you're in a KVK, because if you're in KVK, people are going to find people to fight. So stage 5, try and fight as much as you can. The only trick with stage 5 is doing yourself some kill feeding, and the way this works is you get another person or an alt account or a farm account to put a really weak march in front of their city, whether it be like a city keeper, dragonlance, it doesn't matter, with like a full T5 march or a full T4 march, and then just attack it with like your strongest march to get as many kills as possible. So for example, I've done it before. I put my farm, I put city keeper in front of the city, and then I hit it with like a Boudica YSG, and I got a ton of points from that. But keep in mind, doing kill feeding with your own accounts especially, or paying someone to do it, is really expensive because it's going to cost you a ton of resources, since healing troops at a very large number is obviously going to be expensive. But this is going to be a really good way to gain a ton of points really quickly. Like you can gain 1,000,000 points within like a minute. So it's absolutely insane. But once again, especially if you're not fighting other players, it's going to be quite costly to actually push points in this stage of the Mightiest Governor. So if you aren't fighting other players, it's a lower value stage, but it's still going to be the fastest way to gain points. So try and find players who are willing to do some kill feeding, or try and use your farms and mini accounts to give yourself as many points as possible in stage 5. Now, the final stage of the Mightiest Governor is stage 6, and this stage is really just every single stage combined, but at lower value. So stage 6 uses every stage and just takes away some amount of points. So for example, instead of getting 10 points per T5 kill like you do on stage 5, you get like 8 points, which is really obviously worse than stage 5. But still, if you're looking to make a final push, then stage 6 is the best time. The only advice I can give to you for stage 6 is do it within the last hour. Whatever you plan to do it within the last hour of the Mightiest Governor, because that's going to be an easy way to catch people off guard, because they'll think, alright, I got this in the bag. I'm like 3 million points above this player, and then you just, boom, train like 10 million points worth of troops. It's going to be the best way to win a Mightiest Governor if you're really desperate to get a higher rank. So if you're pushing points in stage 6, do it within the last hour, and then just follow all the other advice I gave you, whether it be training troops, defeating barbs, all that stuff is going to be exactly the same in stage 6. Just every single stage is happening at the same time. So keep that in mind. I think stage 3, you wouldn't really want to focus on when you're in stage 6. If you want to use your marches, use them to fight other players or kill barbarians. Gathering resources in stage 6 is not as high value if you're looking to win the Mightiest Governor. Also, training troops in stage 6 is still less value than stage 1, so try to do stage 1 training before you get down to stage 6. But if you're desperate in stage 6, I'm pretty sure it's 4 points per tier 5 unit, which is more than stage 4. So if you really need to do troop training, then stage 6 is a good time to do it, but definitely stage 1 is still better value overall. So now that we know what to do on stage 1 to 6 to maximize the amount of points we gain, how can we maintain our position in the Mightiest Governor? And the first one is, make sure you're trying to gain points in really large numbers instead of gaining them very slowly, because if you were to gain, let's say, 30 million points in like an hour over another player, they might see that and think, wow, that is ridiculous. No way I'm going to push that. That's such a high number of points. And in the fact, they may even have the resources and speed ups to do it, but you just push 30 million within an hour. They'll look at that and think, this person has probably got a ton of speed ups and resources left, and they won't want to push above you. So you have a good chance of winning a Mightiest Governor if you push above someone at a much larger number than like even 100,000. Do like 100 million if you can. I'm being a bit exaggerate there, but you could easily try and push a large number of points in a small period of time to give yourself a psychological advantage over another player who might be looking to win the Mightiest Governor. So, for example, if I was McLaren here and I wanted to win the Mightiest Governor and I'm up against Didi, and let's say he's at 18 million and I'm at 17 million, I wouldn't push to 19, I'd push to 27 and leave that as like my final score. So it would give me a much larger point advantage, and it would make the other person below me think, wow, they've got a ton of speed ups to spare. There is no point in me pushing above them because they just trained a ridiculous number of troops or something like that. So if you're able to do that, then that's going to give you a nice psychological advantage over your opponents. And I can say from personal experience, it definitely works. The next tip I can give you is make sure you're online within the last hour of the Mightiest Governor. So within the last hour of stage 6, that's where everything goes down, where players just go crazy, they feed themselves a ton of kills, they push a ton of power, or they just go rogue in the kingdom and zero everybody to win the Mightiest Governor. It is definitely the best time to make sure you're online, because that's going to help you maintain a position if other players are online to push, because if you're asleep during that last stage and someone pushes 2 million points above you, they're going to get the gold heads extra, and a rank above you could be the difference between 180 gold heads and 90. So make sure you're online within that last hour to get as much value as possible. Obviously, this can be difficult, so you either have to trust the people in your kingdom won't push above you, or just be online and be prepared to push again. So if you're looking to win the Mightiest Governor, then try be online for the last hour, whether to push yourself or to maintain your position from other people who may be pushing. So the last hour of the Mightiest Governor is probably the most important out of every single stage. So last hour of stage 6 to guarantee a spot, you definitely want to be online. Now that we pretty much know how to win the Mightiest Governor, if we have the speed ups and resources, etc., is it really worth doing? Is the Mightiest Governor event I would recommend to low spenders and free-to-play players? And I think the really short answer is sometimes. Just sometimes is it valuable? And there are a few times where the Mightiest Governor is not good value. And the first one is, in a big KVK situation, Mightiest Governor, bad value, because a whale with 6 marches or 7 marches is going to easily get more kills than someone with 3, 4, 5 marches even, because a whale is going to A, have more troops in that march, B, have more resources and speed up, C, probably get better trades due to better crystal tech, so they're going to be able to push the stage 5 and stage 6 much easier than you can. So if you're in KVK, I don't think the Mightiest Governor is a good value for low spenders, because it is really, really difficult. The other time the Mightiest Governor is low value is when you don't really need the commanders. So for example, I wouldn't push a cavalry Mightiest Governor because I only use archer commanders. And if you are maining a specific troop type and you don't need the commanders for another troop type, do not push that Mightiest Governor. Save it for the troop type that you need, because otherwise it is fairly low value. The other time Mightiest Governors would be lower value are during events like Zenith or the training before KVK, or any event that really lines up that's going to allow whales to push crazy power and gain crazy points in both events, because I can guarantee you a whale in the zenith of power with a Mightiest Governor lined up is going to go ballistic. They're going to go like stage 1 150 million points, because they're trying to win that zenith of power as well. So if you're looking to win a Mightiest Governor and there's another event going on like a Zenith or a KVK pre-training, then it's a bad time to push that event, so try and time it well if possible. The other time I wouldn't recommend doing Mightiest Governor is when you don't really know if you can get a rank you want. So if you want to get rank 3 in the Mightiest Governor, make sure you can get that rank 3. I wouldn't really try push above, I wouldn't really try stay below, because the difference between one rank is 10 gold heads or even 90, like I said before, because rank 1 is 180, rank 2 is 90. So if you're looking to win a Mightiest Governor, set yourself a goal for how many gold heads you want, and make sure you can get that goal at pretty much every cost, because if you get a rank lower, you're missing out on gold heads, and if you try and push for a rank above, you may use too many speed ups and too many resources that you don't have access to. The time where the Mightiest Governor would be good value, though, is if you're looking to get a rank 11 to 15 just to unlock a commander, because often rank 11 to 15 is pretty cheap unless you're in KVK, and if you're looking to get a Mightiest Governor commander like Henry, for example, then rank 11 to 15 is probably the better value, and if you're looking to push for those lower ranks just to get the unlock, then you're in a better position than if you're looking to push like rank 1 to get 180 sculptures, which is going to be way more difficult and probably more expensive than just going for rank 11 to 15 where you can get higher value per speed up because you don't need as many to get a full unlock on a commander. The next thing that kind of removes value from Mightiest Governor is the commanders often rally and garrison. Like every single archer commander here is a rally or garrison commander. Obviously, some of them have field usages like Artemisia, Nebu, Tamaris, and Henry, but then you got commanders like Amanatori and Ditto, which aren't as field viable, and Tamaris is not very good. Artemisia she's good, but she's also a garrison commander. Nebu is losing value. A lot of these commanders lose value than their field counterparts. So if you're looking to push the Mightiest Governor, I recommend doing it for a commander you know you're going to need. Like, for example, I got Henry out of a Mightiest Governor, and he's a commander I have expertise and I'm using very heavily on the open field. But I wouldn't really push the Mightiest Governor for an Artemisia, who I can get in daily bundles in Legendary Tavern, and she's not going to be worth me pushing to the rank 1 or worth pushing to even 11 to 15, because she's not going to be that strong. But a commander like Nebu, he's going to be better value for me because, yes, I can still get him in Legendary Tavern, but I use him on the field and I know I'm going to need his sculptures. So try and only push the Mightiest Governor if you know you need a commander, especially if you're doing Rally or Garrison, it's going to be better value. But if not, this event is going to be lower value for you, and unless you plan to use a specific commander on the field, it's a pretty much don't do event at all because you're not going to need half of the commanders in the event due to them being a rally or garrison commander. So overall, for free-to-play low spenders, the Mightiest Governor is probably not an event I would do. I would just get your rewards from getting the 200,000 points on each stage, and that's it. You'd be in a good position, you get 600 gems, you get some gold keys, some sculptures, some stuff like that. That's always nice. And then the Mightiest Governor itself, I'd probably just ignore it unless you really need a commander, and then you can consider pushing in the event. But make sure you know your competition, make sure you've got a good timing down, make sure you're prepared for the event, and then you would have a good chance at winning for the lowest amount of speed ups to give yourself even more value to get the unlock on the commander that you really need. Now, if you enjoyed today's video, you found it helpful or informative, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel because it's really helpful to me as a content creator. It's a great way to support my work literally for free, and I try to push out one of these videos every single 2 days, so your subscription will not be wasted if you subscribe. And every single video I give you is trying to give you some amount of value, whether it be on events like the Mightiest Governor, whether it be talking about the value of events like the Zen of the Power, or discussing current meta commanders and meta pairings and looking at the new commanders, or hypothesizing which commanders will be releasing and what will they do for the meta. I'm going to be one of the best channels to subscribe for all of that. So if you want variety Rise of Kingdoms content to bring you value, you definitely want to subscribe to my channel, and it supports me a lot. We are closing in on 3,000 subscribers, so to all the people currently subscribed, major thanks to you, and to all the people who are just subscribing right now, also a big thank you to you as well. Now, I just want to say a thankful show to see you in the next one.